So it's like giving them that extra 10% is cool, but we were also selling merchandise, which the artist gets. If it's their design, yeah, they'll get something out of it. But they might come here and buy a book by somebody else. So it's kind of like we have this extra, like kind of like a place where people can buy stuff, so we can make money that way, and then give the artist more as a result. So one person can actually do. One customer can actually they can buy so many different things here. It makes a difference. Yeah. But if we were just a gallery, I mean, then you can't give the artist money.
What is your mission statement?
Oh my God!
Do you have a mission statement?
Well, okay, the magazine had one.
Yes.
The magazine's mission statement was basically to promote anything that we really liked as editors, which usually revolves around Asian popular culture, but we don't limit it to that. Occasionally we'll step outside of Asian pop culture, but it's just what we think is curated, or what we curate and think is really good. So that's the magazine one. The store is supposed to go alongside the magazine, but it's been 8 years since we first opened. I think it's changed a little bit. So I think the store is still, it's just products that we really like. Usually it has some kind of one foot in Asian pop culture, but sometimes not. It's just good design counts too. And the art is kind of the same way. It's just whatever we really like. So that's a mission statement. That's kind of an easy one. Just stuff we like. Do what we like, but I think you always have to follow that first. Like, what art do you like? Well, you have to like, what art would you buy is kind of like usually should be defined by the art that you like, right? So you don't know if the person's going to be famous, if their painting's going to be more expensive later. You can't worry about all that. We just kind of go by, I like it, so that's something that like I want to be part of and work with. And it's not about like, oh wow, I think this guy's going to be great someday, but I don't really like the art, but I think he's going to be famous. We don't do that.
That's cool.
I passed on some artists, for example, some great artists that whose work are really expensive now, and I wish I would have sold it then, sort of, but I didn't like it at the time, so I passed. So I can live with it fine. I just looked at it, I was like, I don't really like it, but now they're super famous, so it happens that way too. And at the same time, some of the artists I've really liked, well, they became famous anyway, so you don't win them all, but I don't know if you're supposed to.
Well, you found many big hits, such as the Ugly Doll series.
Sure.
And how did you go about finding people like that?
They walked in the door. He walked in and showed me an Ugly Doll, and I thought it was great. It was like really cute, kind of strange, and that was good enough. It's just that I liked it. And then since then, God, look how big they got. And we had this great mutual relationship, and that's kind of like what you have to do with artists and stuff. You just build a great relationship, work with them don't even think about, we'll just do one art show. I'm thinking like working with them for 5 years or 10 years and just keep going. And we still do stuff with Ugly Dolls to this day, even though they're huge. They'll still do stuff with Giant Robot. So that's kind of cool. But that's part of having a good relationship with somebody and not just thinking about money or what you can get out of them. It's more like, well, what can we do together that's fun? And then if it makes money, that's great. And then over time, eventually you can start thinking about making money and doing something together because you've kind of like used to each other. But some people just go right into trying to make money like right away, and it's like kind of a turnoff. It's not really inspiring. So artists want to be inspired, and I want to be inspired, so you have to think of it that way too.
Did anything about Sawtell strike you that just said, I have to put my store here?
I grew up around here, so it just felt really comfortable, and it's gotten so busy and crazy, and all the rents went up really high, so that's one problem is when you do really well, people start coming at you and finding ways to like try to take your money, I guess. So we started doing well, and then they raised all the rents.
How many galleries do you have in total?
I guess you would just say 3, but we also do stuff off-site, right? So one thing about like these shops, this wall's like 33 feet. There's a 16-foot one on the other side. So, what happens if I want 100 feet of space and I don't have it? I have to think about where I can do that, and usually we still we do stuff off-site sometimes because some of the artists are like got bigger and, frankly, they don't really fit here anymore. They need to be in a wider spot, so we do stuff off-site. And you have to always keep that option open too as to, you have to think about that as maybe your space isn't perfect for the artist, so you have to think about, well, what would be perfect? What would be inspiring for this artist? What would he want to do or she want to do? So you got to think about that sometimes. It's just, go beyond what you normally are comfortable with because they're taking a risk, so you have to take one too sometimes.
Why Giant Robot?
Oh, the name? I think one thing about Giant Robot, the name, it's an easy one to remember and it's kind of fun. But I think the idea was to have a name that was diverse, that could mean a lot of different things. I mean, giant robot sounds like just a big robot, but you don't know what kind. And it's not like C-3PO or R2-D2 or the Star Wars ones that are tiny. We're trying to think of something that was big and heroic, yet with a little bit of Asian kind of a flavor in it, because giant robots are like usually Asian, right? Asian robots are always big and giant, so we kind of have that in there too. So it means different things to different people, and that name's kind of like a reason why I think it works. It's kind of maybe ironic, but also it makes people think about, oh, why? The exact question is why is always really nice. So there's a lot of reasons, and you can almost guess, and it usually works in some way for us. So Asian big robots, cool. I like that, because I always think of American robots as being really kind of silly and weird.
Yeah, they don't
but,
do it right.
But it's just a fun name too. I mean, it works in so many different ways. People remember it.
I run the retail operations of Giant Robots, so our stores in New York and San Francisco and LA.
So you do all three? Do you?
Yeah. I oversee the web store as well, but the web store is a little more self-maintaining, which is nice. So.
And do you find any one of the particular stores doing better right now? Or?
Well, San Francisco and LA are our busiest stores, but it's probably because we're a West Coast operation and we have a larger connection to the communities here. New York's tougher because it's our newest location and it's furthest away from home, so it's harder. But and New York's a completely different business environment. It's like every time you go there, 5 stores that were there 6 months ago are gone, and 2 months later there's 5 new ones to replace them. So we're just trying to hold out and become established, which is slowly happening. They're having a big in-store event tonight. Go Nakamura is playing like an acoustic set in the store, which is the first time we've done that there, which is, the place is about as narrow as this aisle. So it's, I saw pictures of it from Twitter, and I think there's like, 50 people like all staring down this like long slot listening to music. But it's just, we're trying to do more of the things that we're able to do here over there.